We're going to work through GitHub's instructions for setting up SSH public key authentication. Before you start, write down a passphrase that's different from anything that you've used on another system and is easy for you to remember and long. So that's like step 0. We'll assume that we've already done step 1, open terminal. We've got it over here. And the other thing to do before following the rest of the instructions, if you've got a stale copy of a previous attempt, it's important to remove it first. If it's a valid setup, you don't want to do this because it's going to destroy anything from that old setup. So this is the command to use, and it'll ask us if we're sure, and then that's all of the old configuration gone. So then, following along with the instructions, we're going to cut and paste things from what you're told to do into the terminal windows. And note that this initial $ is actually a prompt, so it's analogous to this part of the line up as far as the percentage character. So that's not something that you'll want to copy. So you'll copy that as far as the start of the spurious email address, paste it in, then add the real email address, and then when we hit enter at the end of this command, it's going to go off and start the process of generating the key pair. So when we hit enter, you'll see that this line here is what it shows you. So it's not something that you have to type. And it will sit around for a while. It's prompting for a file in which to save the key, and this file name is the default one. If we just hit enter at this point, it will use that file name. And this is the point at which it's very important to enter that passphrase that you wrote down right at the start. So we're going to get hold of that, and when we type it, nothing is going to be hiding it, supposedly as an extra security measure. So when we type it again, nothing will appear, but it will go off and actually create the key pair. So that's got us right the way through this with the enter passphrase and enter same passphrase again from the instructions. So then we're on to this step, adding the SSH key to the SSH agent. So again, it's copying and pasting without taking the initial $, pasting that command in. And this line is what it shows you. And of course, we've got a slightly different number here because it's different on the system. And it's going to check to see if this file exists. And because we explicitly wiped out anything that was in that .ssh directory to start with, this will confirm that it does not exist. And if the file doesn't exist, it asks you to create it. And then the next step is, it's fairly vague about this. Open your file and add those lines to it. So we need to use an editor. We'll just use Atom here. and then give it that file name. Just take it exactly, and just do a copy and paste. And that should bring up Atom with that file, the thing being edited. So we can then take those lines that it's showing you as the example and do a copy and paste, and then just save the file. And then go on to this next line, and it's prompting us for the passphrase that we created right at the start. So if we just type that again, and then it's going to confirm that that identity has been added. So then we want to go to the next step, which is actually adding the key to the GitHub account.